Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining me today for this workshop titled Tradition versus Natural Ways of Birthing and How Doulas Can Support in Different Situations, which is a part of Hera's return to work journey. In this session, we'll explore the stories, expectations, and systems that shape how we birth and how we feel during the journey of childbirth. So, whether you are navigating traditional advice, modern hospital systems, or simply your own hopes and fears, this space is for you. My name is Anisha, and I am a childbirth educator and doula. I support families to prepare not just physically but also emotionally and mentally for labor and birth. My role is to hold space, help families feel informed and confident, and guide them through the complexity of decision making, whether that's around medical choices or navigating cultural expectations. So, let's start by taking a moment to reflect on some of the factors that may shape the way we birth. So, the way we give birth is not just about the biology or the physiology of birth. It's shaped by layers of influence, many of which we may not even realize are at play. So, first, there's family traditions and advice that has been passed on from generations. So, many of us have grown up hearing stories from our mothers, grandmothers, and even aunts about how birth should happen. Maybe we were told to drink a certain herbal drink for labor to start, or go to the hospital as soon as labor starts, or don't make any noise during contractions. So, though we had, then of course we have religious and spiritual beliefs around birth. In many cultures, birth is seen as sacred, a crossing from one realm to another. Some families chant mantras during labor. Some perform ceremonies to protect the mother and baby. And some may even choose a specific date or timing based on astrology. On the other end of the spectrum, there's social media. Today, we are exposed to countless birth stories online, some of which may seem very glamorized, like some very calm, serene water births with perfect lighting. And these can impact on how we may imagine our own birth to unfold. And then there are medical systems and hospital policies, which are another huge influence on how we birth. Hospitals often have very set routines or protocols like time limits on labor or continuous monitoring of the baby and mother or even mandatory IVs. And finally, there's childbirth education or the lack of it. Going into labor feeling prepared, knowing the stages of labor, what to expect, comfort measures during labor can help families feel calm and confident in making decisions. On the other hand, not knowing what to expect can lead to fear or helplessness. So, when we really think about what shapes the way we birth, it's not just the body doing its work. It's all of these influences combining in unique ways for each person. So, building on that, let's look at how language can also shape birth experience. So, when we talk about birth, the words we use really matter because they shape how we think, feel, and make decisions. So, let's break down three of the very common words we hear all the time. That is traditional birth, normal birth, natural birth. So, first is tradition. Traditional birth practices vary not just by country, but by region, community, and even by individual families, especially in a culture like India. In India, there are very traditional practices surrounding prenatal and postnatal care, including rituals and strict dietary rules. These practices reflect cultural heritage and generational wisdom. And then there is normal birth. So, this word can be tricky because it often feels loaded or limiting. So, typically in hospitals, normal delivery means a vaginal birth, usually with certain medical protocols involved. But that definition can leave a huge range of valid experiences. It can leave out a lot of uh, what normal may be for somebody else. Like for the birthing person, what's normal might mean being able to move around during labor, or maybe going into water for labor, or choosing an epidural. So, when we use the word normal, it's important to ask whose normal are we referring to? The hospitals, the systems, or the individual mothers? And finally, there's natural birth. So, today, when people refer to natural birth, what they usually mean is physiological birth, that is, labor and birth without any medical interventions, which focuses on the body's innate ability to give birth, often with minimal interference. But again, the thing with natural birth is that it doesn't have to look one specific way. Natural birth may bring up an image of a very calm birth happening at home or maybe a birth center. But that's natural birth can happen in many settings. It can happen at home, at hospital, or at a birth center. It can be loud or quiet, calm or intense. And choosing interventions when needed doesn't make the birth unnatural. It just makes your birth unique. So, as we move forward in this conversation, let's hold these words gently and remember birth isn't about fitting into a particular category, it's about finding what feels right for you. So, let's take a closer look at some of the traditional birthing practices we see across India and even South Asia. So, traditional birth practices aren't just about the moment of birth, they're about the whole journey from pregnancy to postpartum. And these traditions have been designed with the intention of supporting the mother, the baby, and the family through this huge life transition. So, first, there's the use of herbal remedies. Traditionally, herbs, ghee, oils are all used to nourish and strengthen the mother's body. Oil massages are common during pregnancy and after birth to ease the muscle pain, to promote circulation, and aid in recovery. Steam treatments are also used to relieve swelling or encourage healing, especially after a vaginal birth. And then comes the postnatal care, which is a huge focus in the Indian traditional systems. Many families follow a confinement period, often lasting 40 days, where the new mother is required to rest, avoid cold, eat specific foods believed to promote healing, for example, specific laddus, panjiri, drinking ajwain or jeera water, or even special soups and broths. These traditions are rooted in the belief that the mother's body after birth is open and vulnerable and needs time to recover fully. And of course, a lot of these foods also are meant to promote the production of breast milk for the baby. And historically, a key figure in the process of the traditional birth was the dai or the traditional midwife. The dai was often an elder woman in the community who brought not just hands on skills but also emotional and cultural support. She knew the herbs, the rituals, and the practical aspects of labor and recovery. And finally, there's community care. In traditional societies, postpartum care wasn't just the responsibility of the mother or even just the immediate family. Communities would step in, relatives, neighbors, friends. They cooked meals, helped with chores, massaged the mother and the baby, and made sure the new parents were not left alone. So, having looked at various traditions around birthing, the challenge now is how do we carry forward the wisdom of these traditions which have been passed on from generations in a way that it fits our modern life and honors our choices and feels supportive rather than restrictive? The generational stories and religious practices do carry wisdom, and can offer connection. But sometimes they can also bring pressure or create stress if they don't align with the birthing person's preferences. Similarly, hospital systems are usually designed with safety in mind, but they can also feel rigid or impersonal, making people feel like passengers instead of participants in their own birth journey. So, let's talk about both these aspects. So, on the supportive side, many traditional practices are incredibly nourishing. Warm oil massages can help with circulation, ease muscular aches, and provide emotional comfort. And of course, home cooked healing foods often provide exactly what the postpartum body needs, that is, warmth, nourishment, and easy digestion. But sometimes tradition can hinder or limit well being, especially when practices are enforced without considering the birthing person's preferences or maybe even modern medical knowledge. So, for example, in some traditions and families, it is still believed that the first milk, uh, that is called the colostrum, which is a yellow thick milk that comes, is dirty, and they are encouraged. Mothers are encouraged to discard that. But of course, we know now from with medical advancement that milk is packed with antibodies and is crucial for the baby's immunity and is in fact referred now to as liquid gold. And of course, one another practice is often the silencing of discomfort. Women are often told not to complain about the pain or even their mental health struggles either during pregnancy or postpartum because they're told that this is how it's always been, or no, you should be happy that you have your baby. And this can create shame or even prevent people from seeking the much needed help at such a vulnerable time. So the key is to finding a balance, to take those traditions which feel supportive and meaningful, and to gently let go of what no longer serves. And as doulas and birth workers, a part of our role is to help families navigate this space, that is, to honor tradition while also making room for personal choice and updated knowledge. So, another challenge of preparing for birth is managing the conflicting opinions and expectations that come from people around us. So, let's look at that. So, one common birth conflict is birth location conflict. Uh, Now, in modern society, some birthing people may feel drawn to a home birth instead of a typical hospital birth or even a birth center because they want autonomy, privacy, and maybe even a sense of safety in familiar surroundings. But family members, elders, especially elders in the family, might insist on a hospital birth because it seems the safer option or because it's based on their past experiences. So, this can create a real tension. How do you balance the desire for agency with concerns raised by loved ones? And then, of course, there are generational differences. Older generations may believe that there's only one way, one right way to give birth, often based on what was available at their time. So you might be told that, we didn't have all these choices back then and we did just fine. Or you must do so and so because that's our family tradition, or you must go to a certain doctor. And of course, there's also the weight of social pressure. Friends or relatives may make comments like, "Oh, you're doing natural birth, but that's isn't that risky?" Or "Why are you taking an epidural? That's not real birth or natural birth." So this creates an invisible expectation to do birth the right way. And the key here is again finding the balance. Listening to advice can be valuable, but at the end of the day, your birth is your experience. It's important to stay grounded in your own truth and make choices based on what feels empowering and right for you. And as doulas, one of our roles is to help families navigate these conversations. by providing evidence based information and to hold space for the emotional weight of these decisions without any judgment. So let's talk a little in detail about exactly what do doulas, how do doulas support birthing families, especially when navigating the complexities of tradition, modern medicine, and personal choice. So, firstly, doulas provide evidence based information without pressure. So, we don't tell the birthing families what to do. Instead, we share information with options, benefits, risks, so that families can make informed choices. So, whether you're considering a home birth, a hospital induction, or something in between, a doula is there to help you understand your choices in a balanced way. Secondly, doulas help you to create a birth plan which is rooted in your values. So, a birth plan is not a rigid checklist. It's a way of clarifying for yourself that what is it that matters most to you. So, it might include rituals that you want to honor or positions you'd like to try for birth, how you'd prefer to communicate with doctors, or how you would like your partner to support you. And the idea here is to be very clear about your preferences so that you can advocate for yourself confidently while also staying open to the fact that birth can be unpredictable and does not always go as per plan. And doulas, most importantly, provide emotional validation. When traditions feel heavy, or when there's family pressure which feels overwhelming, or when you're simply unsure about what to do next, doulas are there to listen, reflect, and remind you that your feelings are valid. We help you to process the emotional side of birth, not just prepare for the physical process, because both are equally important. We also offer clear communication. So often in birth, you'll hear medical terms that may sound confusing, or decisions may have to be taken in a hurry. So a doula helps to explain those medical options in everyday language, giving you information you need to make choices that align with your comfort and safety. So, for example, in labor, a doctor may say that I recommend augmenting labor with syntocin because labor has stalled. So, a doula might gently explain to you that what the doctor is saying is that they will give you certain medications to make your contractions stronger. And then she would talk to you about what that would look like. And if you'd like, you could ask for more time or maybe perhaps explore some other options. And finally, doulas are there to respect all approaches to birth. So, whether you want to follow the family traditions or you're choosing an unmedicated labor or even planning a cesarean or combining cultural rituals with medical care, doulas hold space for your unique journey. Doulas are not attached to how you give birth. We are here to make sure that you feel heard, supported, and empowered throughout the process. One of the most important things to understand about doulas is that we offer flexible support across all kinds of birth settings. So, whether you're birthing at home, in a hospital, or in a birth center, doula's role adjusts to meet you exactly where you are. So, in hospitals, doulas help you stay connected to your choices. As we spoke about, like if a situation may arise where medical protocols seem overwhelming, then the doula reminds you of your options. She helps you to ask the right questions of your medical team and supports you emotionally so you don't feel swept up in the medical system. And then when it comes to home births, the doula's role is often to support the rhythm and calm because you're already in a safe, familiar environment. And so the doula might help with dimming the lights, guiding your breathing, helping with position changes, or simply holding space for the intimate nature of birth at home. And in birth centers, doulas collaborate closely with midwives to create a middle ground experience. And many people also think that doulas are only for natural or low risk births. But the truth is that doulas are just as important, sometimes even more so during high risk or medically complex pregnancies. So let's talk about that. So, even in complex medical scenarios like cesareans, premature births, or unexpected complications which may arise during a regular labor, a doula is there to help you stay connected to the experience. When complications arise, the medical team, of course, focuses on the clinical care, which is crucial, but the doula is there to focus on you, your emotional well being, your ability to process what's happening and feel emotionally held throughout the whole process. So, doulas are in fact trained to provide trauma informed care. We are trained to notice signs of emotional overwhelm and offer grounding techniques, gentle conversation, or just a compassionate presence without judgment. I've had the experience of supporting a mother as a doula, a mother who had conceived through the IVF process. And while the mother was very clear on how she wants her birth to unfold, she wanted, she was very clear about the fact that she wanted a water birth, and she had chosen a care provider accordingly, and she wanted a certain environment, a very dim, quiet environment. And but what she had reached out to me very early in pregnancy, and what she was struggling with at that moment was being connected to the baby. So the journey of an IVF conception can be very is very physically and emotionally long and taxing. And while she had achieved the pregnancy, but she was feeling very overwhelmed and not feeling connected with the baby. And that's when, like I said, doulas are trained in trauma informed care, and we are trained with uh, certain techniques and grounding techniques and uh, you know, processes to help mothers connect with their inner emotions. And what helped this mother was a technique called birth art, where through art, a process of art and journaling, this mother was really able to, in that moment, connect with the baby and subsequently have a smoother pregnancy. And similarly, another scenario could be, you know, not a regular scenario, is where a mother is looking to have a VBAC, that is a vaginal birth after a cesarean. So, in this case, doulas offer guidance, encouragement, and evidence based information. So, I have also supported mothers who have, as a doula, who have wanted to experience a vaginal birth after a cesarean. And, it is the process, how a doula supports is by really, of course, providing the education and what to expect during a labor, and to really help the mother feel grounded and mentally prepared and feel grounded no matter how the birth unfolds. So in all of these scenarios, the role of the doula remains the same: to be a steady, compassionate presence who supports you emotionally, helps you process the journey, and reminds you that you are not alone in the experience. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought: you don't have to choose between tradition and modern choices. Birth is not about either or decisions, it's about integration. So, taking what resonates with your roots, your family, and your culture, while also embracing your own unique needs, your present circumstances, and your own voice. And also, there is no single right way of giving birth, it is only your way. So maybe your version of a natural birth is in a hospital setting with intermittent monitoring. Or maybe you want to combine an oil massage along with epidural for pain relief. And all these options are totally valid because birth is deeply personal. So before we end today, let's pause and reflect on a few key takeaways from today's conversation. So, the first is cultural awareness. The way we birth is never only about the biology, it's shaped by layers of culture, family, tradition, and the medical system. So, when we become aware of all these influences, we are able to make choices with more clarity and less confusion. And the second is that the term natural birth, the different terminologies like normal birth, natural birth can mean different things to different people, and that's okay. The key is to be able to make informed and supported choices and not necessarily fit into a particular definition. Thirdly, traditions can be beautiful, can be a beautiful source of grounding, and they also come from a lot of wisdom, but they don't have to define your entire path if they don't feel right for you. The goal is not to reject tradition or blindly follow, but to choose what serves you and leave the rest with compassion. And the fourth thing we spoke about was doula support. Doulas are here to hold space in all settings, that is, hospitals, home, or birth centers, while respecting both your emotional and cultural needs. And doulas do not tell you what to do, but they walk beside you, no matter what decisions you may take, which feel right for you. And finally, no matter how or where you give birth, you have the right to feel safe, heard, and cared for. Birth is not just a medical event, it's a profound life experience, and you deserve support that honors your body, your story, and your voice. So, thank you today for being a part of this conversation. Birth is not just physical, it's cultural, emotional, and spiritual. So, wherever you are in your birthing journey, I hope you are walking away feeling more informed, more confident, and more held. Remember, there's no such thing as a perfect birth, only one that is rooted in awareness and care. Thank you.